What are the changing roles today? There are a number of different players in the legal information market. How do we decide to develop, market and purchase materials? Do we use the same criteria today that we used 10 or 20 years ago? How do we decide on who will be responsible for refreshing that data, or who will be responsible for keeping that data in those containers to enable longevity of the data? What are the skill sets that we need for information professionals? Do we have to realize that we will have less intermediation? Will there need to be more done upfront on issues like search or XML, preservation, authentication, authority, value? How is the legal information field relating to what is being called the Apple to Zappos phenomenon? This business philosophy talks about how you have to be at the cutting edge of innovation, and that once you innovate and gain the trust of the marketplace, they will not leave you. You don't even have to worry about if you are sharing the innovation with your competitors, because once you wear the innovator's mantle, you are allowed to keep that. You are not just queen for the day. But coupled with that is the idea that customers are the primary reason for living. Everything you do must be focused on the customer's perceptions and needs. That is really the Zappos model. It not only has to be directed by the management of the organization, but there must be a buy-in all the way through the workforce of the organization. Customers want instant decision-making ability from the person they are dealing with. Instant decision-making means that people at the front line have to be empowered and trusted to make decisions on the fly. It not only means that the customer service person is nice to the client. For Zappos, it means a lot of pre-testing of their staff before they are even hired. They use high-level personality tests in order to determine how people make decisions on the fly. Then they make the determination whether this person fits within their culture of serving the customer. We need to think about those two markers. How can the legal information industry be more like Apple? Innovators that are on the cutting edge and are willing to be greater risk takers. This is what our current society is rewarding. How can we be more like Zappos? Much more customer service oriented. But in this case, flexible enough to have set buckets of flexibility so that we can serve the individual customer's needs. The customer is becoming more and more diverse as the information becomes more and more diverse. Whether the customer is coming from another culture or another discipline or another generation, the diversity of the customer base is widening. So, we need to follow this kind of Zappos model. A recent Outsell study said that if you have the presence of a library in your organization, there is an increase on the return on investment on purchased content of 42%. The library is the greatest asset to advocate to assure renewal of content, and to show effective cost management and better leverage of content across an organization. So those of us that believe that the intermediation role of the librarian is going down, while it may be true, this Outsell 2011 study shows that the library still has a partnership role to play on behalf of the parent organization and on behalf of the vendors in which it deals. The librarian assures that the information is leveraged, is renewed, and is effectively used. This is the end of the keynote speech. There were some questions that were asked at the end of the session, so I will cover some of those questions now. One question was on the issue of whether law reviews and traditional secondary sources are still relevant in today's society, and what changes do these scholarly publications need to make in order to stay relevant. The expectations of the readers now focus on shorter sentences, a narrower language, and articles that are much shorter in length than traditionally used in law review or other legal scholarly articles. Just take a look at the New York Times Magazine section or even the New Yorker to see how other industries have adapted to the new demands of its customers. It used to be that you needed to keep a dictionary next to you while reading these articles, but these days you don't need a dictionary, and many times you don't need help pronouncing words, even when the pronunciation is written out by the editors. This may simultaneously tickle and horrify many of us as we notice this change. Scholarly legal publication has simply not kept up with these trends in user expectations and tolerance levels. Legal scholarly writing also harkens back to this concept of legal theory and thinking in terms of the abstract. People are so fact-based today that they are really looking for a match on the facts in the materials they read. That is the new comfort level of the researcher and readers, and legal scholarship has not adapted to this new trend. So people are now forced to go to other sources to get the fact-based information they want. They now look at tweets or blogs to get this information. Another issue is the time it takes to get the articles to market. Some law review articles can take 2 or 3 years from inception to print. This has completely changed within the sciences and has created a new paradigm in scholarly publications. The style in science is more focused on the conversation among scientists all along the way. They don't really wait for that moment for when the final article is coming out. They don't really have a respect anymore for their old concept of scholarly publication and peer review, which was much more rigid than what we are used to in legal scholarly publishing. Scientific communications is the marker to look at for what legal needs to see as how we need to adapt to the new model of scholarly communications. The question was asked about the trends where people are self-selecting materials, or selecting only from certain silos. Is there any way to stop the trend? It may not be as important to try to stop the trend as it is to make sure that there is a way to create intellectual teams so that we can instantly share those different perspectives in order to promote problem solving. In the sciences, there's the idea that the new C in science is for collaboration. That's what is happening with some of the studies with the scientists in Switzerland who each have their own independent ideas on the science around the super collider. But these scientists are managed by an information manager who kind of serves as the one to keep everybody informed about everyone else's knowledge. This compensates for this kind of disparate kind of learning. We will probably never return to a time where we have a common knowledge or core competencies either in education or within specific industries like legal information. That is probably an anachronism of the 19th century. There are no longer simply 3 R's any longer. There are now 50,000 R's, and it may be impossible to aspire to create a common knowledge in K-16 education any longer. The collaboration model is the better model. For the legal information industry, there are publishers that are also aggregators and bring disparate information together. These players will have the largest part to play on transforming the way legal information is shared in a collaborative manner. Many of the legal publishers are no longer just legal publishers. They have a diverse portfolio of legal, business, news, science, humanities and other information that they collect, but are currently doing a terrible job of communicating between these different disciplines. All of that information currently lives in silos, and that is something that will need to change as we move to the collaborative model. Perhaps the greatest positive thing coming from the consolidation occurring within legal publishing is that the vendors now have access to such a huge wealth of diverse information. Now it is time for the publishers to take on the Apple side of the innovation and determine ways to leverage all of the information now available. After the publishers develop the innovation, then many of the librarian customers would then say it would be time to then work on the Zappos side of the model. The final question dealt with the issue of is it the social media space, blogs, podcasts, and others, that will be the starting place for the mashups that are needed for interdisciplinary discussion. Although there is a lot going on in the social media space, and since there is almost no barrier to entry into this space, the real question is how is the culture going to accept these sources as authoritative? Are these resources going to be archived? Are they going to be verified for accuracy? Are we going to have to accept these resources as authority by consensus? Are you going to give it an approval rating? Purchase it? Manage it? Talk about it in the classrooms? In the courtrooms? Or are you going to dismiss it and return to the traditional resources? How are you going to alert people to these products? To the uncitability of these resources? The unavailability of the product? These sorts of issues are not going to be solved through digital rights management, licensing agreements, or prices. These are going to look like baby food to the people that follow us. Going back to the concern for the rule of law, we may be closer to having bloggers and social media making that transfer into accepted resources than we think. Publishers now discuss the problem of getting someone to write a new treatise. They can get someone to take over at Readus and update something that exists, but it is nearly impossible to find someone willing to start a new treatise. Yet, there are experienced practitioners out there writing on blogs that are becoming the trusted resources in their practice areas. Bloggers now have enough of an archive that they are now coming into the publishers and saying that all of that information should be reworked into a publication. Publishers are now attempting to define what the type of publication is. We trust that legal publishers are authoritative. We trust that the Library of Congress is also authoritative, so it is an interesting transition to move from how social media and non-traditional publications is seen as authority by consensus into what we traditionally view as authoritative. We have to go back to the idea of legal information. Is it a coral reef or is it a skyscraper?